What up, though? What's poppin'?
Hey y'all, happy Thursday.
Happy Friday Eve. What's going on with y'all?
Shit.
I'm
Right.
excited. I'm excited about today's podcast. I'm coming in today as a straight learner, maybe
Yeah,
taking notes. You know
that
what I'm
part.
saying? Like,
Right.
I am very excited about this. Like, it's definitely I have an open mind for it. And I'm excited to hear perspectives from others
And
on
we
the
got,
subject.
oh my God, here we go. And was it me?
No, you were just fine. You tricked yourself. She okay, Joyce. So I'm gonna let
Yes,
you go ahead
ma'am.
and introduce everything and bring us in on the subject and everything. But what I will say is, uh, thank you guys for tuning in to Conversations with Mika and Friends, where we keep it real, raw, and respectful. And I'm gonna let Joyce take it away until Nene comes back in.
So tonight we are going to talk about polygamy. Super excited to have a guest speaker that has actually lived a lifestyle that can kind of give a little more insight from that perspective. And
Mhm.
before we jump in for real, it's a couple things that I just want to throw out. So polygamy is more than one spouse. Polyandry is a woman having more than one husband. And then,
So
right, so
okay,
the
polyandry.
umbrella.
Okay, because it's like four of them.
So I'm short one. So the umbrella, the umbrella is polygamy. So that's having more than one spouse. Polyandry is a woman having more than one husband, and then polygyny is a man having more than one wife. So just for everybody's understanding, that's where we are with things. So usually when we talk about polygamy in general, um, we discussing a man having multiple wives, but it's that's not necessarily it.
Okay.
And then, we'll at some point, I know it's going to come up in conversation that it's a wife, it's a spouse, it's a husband, it's
Okay.
not
So,
dating per
right.
se
So
by
this was the
definition.
understanding that I got. Well, it's kind of similar, but okay, because there's polygamy, po- uh, polyandry, like you said. There's polyamorous. Polyamorous is just open, like dating multiple people, like having a relationship with multiple people. You're not married, but you are like committed to these women, or I would say men. It's more common, we know, with the man and women. But why can't that be different? People gonna say because you it's gay if it's multiple men and the woman. But yes, polyamorous is dating, where we're all dating, we're all cool with it, we all good with it. Kind of like my book, For the Love of the Hustle. Yes, I wrote about it. And Cuz was good with his hustle bunnies, baby, and I would have been good with Cuz, okay? But but and then, like you said, polygamy, married. So multiple wives, which is illegal here,
Here.
except for in Utah, it's like a ticket violation. But I believe that's the only state, but it's very common in all the other countries.
It's somewhere that it's legal here, and I should
Utah,
know
well,
where. You said
Utah,
it's a ticket?
it's a ticket. Well,
Huh.
that's what I read from my research. It's
Okay.
like a ticket violation. It's like getting stopped and you getting fined a ticket.
Okay.
But it's not
Well,
like a felony or anything like everywhere else in
I
the
see.
United States.
Roughly equivalent to a traffic ticket.
That's what I see.
That's where Sister Wives is.
Yes, I bet it is. It
Yeah.
has to be.
Yeah, he crazy. I don't know. I have thoughts about the topic in general, but him in general would make me say no. Like his whole setup would make me say no.
And
But
then you have other aspects, like people would think that polygamy or polyamorous is the same as swinging. It's not. Swinging is a totally different thing. Open relationships, open marriage, those are, I guess, different too. So there are differentials in each, from what I was learning. But I am excited that we have guests that have actually experienced and lived or live these different lifestyles. Joyce, I'm gonna let you bring it in from here. Hopefully Nene comes back in.
so super excited to welcome a good friend.
We have and two on right now.
And two already.
Can you see him? Mm-hmm.
I can't. But actually also happy to intro both at the same time. So both are amazing people that I've had the pleasure of crossing paths with. So one is Miss Sharon. She is a life coach and who recently celebrated over 40 years of marriage. So we are very excited to hear about, just the dynamics of dating and such from her. And then Clarence, 2200. Who has lived a poly lifestyle. So super excited to hear about him. And so welcome to each of you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know y'all both have your own ventures as well. So definitely feel free to drop your plug.
What's up with you? Y'all cool? How everybody doing? Y'all well?
We are well.
Excellent.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. I want to say the first thing I want to say is that polygamy is the umbrella term. Polygamy overall is the umbrella term. You do have polygyny. Polygyny is when a man has multiple spouses. Polyandry is when a woman has multiple spouses, and polyamory, which makes it easier for a lot of people to understand. Poly and amor, many loves. So within polygamy, you have three distinctive words that let people know what type you practice.
Give me that last one again. The many love. What was that one?
Polyamory is spelled Polyamory. If you think about it, amor, poly, many, amor,
Yeah,
love, polyamory, many loves.
that's the one that I was talking about. That's the one of more dating than, you're not married. You're just, you're dating multiple.
Yeah, that's more so in Western society though, because within the world, the existence that we have, there are 900 give or take societies. 800 give or take of those societies practice polygamy. Only 100 so of them practice monogamy, and you have 4 so of those societies that practice polyandry out of a need. Monogamy is pardon?
Go ahead.
Monogamy is the youngest relationship of them all, and the reason you actually have monogamy is for economic reasons. You don't have it for any other reason than the economic reason of the Catholic Church. If it wasn't for the Catholic Church, you would not have monogamy in like a widespread version of what's going on, especially where it is that we stay. Because you stay in Western society. Western society is Catholic society.
Mm-hmm. And so you just answered my question when I was about to ask, why do you think that over here it's more restricted to monogamy? But you answered that for me.
I'll give you a more in-depth answer. It's not a think, it's a no. See, so at one point in time, even if you go into the Bible does tell you that that it's okay to have many wives. The Bible also instructs you in certain portions where even if you don't want to, you're supposed to take on many wives. For instance, Lamech, his brother died, and he was instructed to take on his wife. See, like, and him taking on his wife, even though Lamech had a wife, the only sin that Lamech made against God was Lamech was supposed to have child with his brother's wife, who became his wife because his brother was dead, and Lamech spilt his seed upon the ground. So when you actually get into these things in the correct and proper context, you're not supposed to be using contraceptive because you're spilling your seed on the ground.
Wow.
That is an abomination against the Lord.
So, Deuce, I knew you was gonna come with the serious portion of things, right? And so we appreciate the education. And if you're comfortable with it, I'd like to kind of bounce back and forth between you and Miss Sharon, because Sharon, as a relationship coach, my question to you is essentially, how does that play out? If all things for our society say monogamy is the way, how does that play out for in this society having that type of a relationship?
Greetings, all. Were you directing that question to me first, Joyce?
Yes, ma'am.
As a relationship coach who has had couples come to me, couples and women in particular, who have come to me seeking how to heal themselves from polygamy, I find that a lot of women accept it because they want to have a man. They want to have someone who is going to be the head of the household, so to speak. Most of them come to me because they're dealing with jealousy. Most of them come to me is because they really did not agree with it in their heart. They said it was okay in their head because they could rationalize it, but in their heart, they couldn't deal with it, and they didn't really see how it played out. Now, most of them who do stay in it is because they have been introduced to polygamy through their husband with education. And most of them who have been able to handle it is because they were able to pick out the wife and they knew exactly where their roles were. And so, usually in the United States, it is because the husband is able to take care of the household. So if a husband decides and the first wife says, yes, I'm okay to have a co-wife. Can I pick them out? Can we lay down the boundaries? The sister wives speak to each other and they understand the boundaries. Usually jealousy is not the issue. But we all know that jealousy is a very strong emotion, especially when you're seeing the person that you really love and put your heart into, right? Now with another woman, even though you said it's okay. So that is part of human relations. Now, according to the fundamentalists and the Mormons, they're saying they recognize that this is a strong emotion and that we should just tuck it away and just know that, hey, that's just what you signed up for. It's easier said than done, right? And so it really takes a very, usually the ones that work, that these type of marriages work, is those that were born into it. If they were born into it, then there's been examples that have been set for them. So now it becomes part of their tradition, part of their culture, and part of something that they acknowledge. And you can juxtapose that with how women in general say, well, men are going to be men and they're going to have affairs and we're going to have to deal with it. And if we want them, we're going to keep them.
So
it's the same type of mindset, even though people may not want to accept it. Women accept that men will go outside their marriage. They kind of accept that.
Here's
when
the
we're talking
thing.
about polygamy, they're not going out of, they should not be, and I hate to use the word should because that's a judgmental word. But however, if they decide to take on another wife, if they already have one wife, it's going to be spoken about. It should be spoken about with the first wife. Now, there are many traditions in the Indian, in the Islam, where the wife does not have the choice. They already know, however, that whenever the man is ready, he's going to pick a wife, and whoever the wife is, you're just going to have to deal with it.
Well, here's the thing. So over here, first of all, the marriage aspect is not a choice. It's illegal. Another thing is a lot of men would prefer or like to practice those type of relationships. However, they do not have the financial resources to support it. And then I want to ask you guys, because we saw a comment that said polygamy is not about a man having many wives, but every woman having a husband. What do you guys say about that?
Well,
Go ahead.
oh, well, I'll make mine quick, my brother, and then you can go ahead. That, I believe, is because of statistics, is that there are more women than there are men. And so if you say that there are 10 women, if you said that out of 10 women, everyone says they want their own man, right? Trust me, there's going to be at least 4 of them who will not be able to. So it's all about statistics on where you're living and the ratio between male and female availability. I'm gonna leave that short and let brother take over.
Gratitude, sister. To speak on what you're saying and the totality of what you're saying first. It depends on where you live, and even you saying that it's illegal, because some states, especially a lot of states, allow you to practice what's called serial divorce, because technically it is illegal. But with serial divorce, you do have these marriage papers with these people, and this is how some states allow you to practice polygamy. When it comes down to men and them wanting to practice outside of the financial aspect, the very first thing they should have an aspect of is it's literally a balance. It's not one person ruling the other. It is humble submission to each other. It's not the first main focus is not just how great can you provide, because also if you think about any relationship, whether you have a relationship with your brother, your sister, or anybody of that nature, it's about how can we all be conducive to each other to make sure that there is provisions for everything going on. I also would like to piggyback on what she was saying when the sister was speaking about how women of this culture usually get into it. That is where we see a lot of failing of these relationships coming in, because a lot of these women, they get into it with the false aspirations of what it is that they have. And like you say, people that grow up in that culture, they're used to it. So it's a lot of feelings that they don't have. Whereas there might be the jealousy feelings or the envy, they don't have those feelings. But you do have a lot of people that go into these relationships, not just women, men included. They go into these relationships, and then going into these relationships, they figure that, like any other arena you could step in life, I'll be the last man standing, I'll be the last woman standing. And that's not how it works. As the sister also said, that, like, regardless of the society, because we know some societies do make it to where, like you say, in the Islamic society, your wife is just supposed to accept it. And but within that society, and your wife just supposed to accept it, you're supposed to provide her the world. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of a trade-off. But outside of the certain things that come with certain societies, the way that they're most successful, everything should be a joint venture, just like when you're in a monogamous relationship or when you're with your friends. Yeah, if you bringing somebody else around, or think about it, even when you're going out to kick it with one of your friends, you're like, hey, Joyce, we going to kick it, but I got my other friend that want to come. Is it cool? I know you don't know her. You want to get to know her, something of that nature. That is what it should be, because you have to make sure that you do have the biggest part of a man's responsibility when it comes to multiple partners. He's supposed to make sure that there's a calm and cool collective vibration between everybody. Because if your house isn't peaceful, it doesn't matter how much money you're bringing in.
Right. And so, also, when we talk about polygamy, it is politically motivated, and it is culturally motivated. It is tradition, and it depends on where you are, whether you're Islam and which particular country you are, because the other polygamy, for the way in India you have Islam, you have Hindu. In the United States, you have the Israelites, you have also the Islams that practice it, and then also those that are in the other what we call now Middle East type countries. And of course, there are many traditions in Africa that hold polygamy. And it just depends on the religious context, the cultural, the beliefs, and how it was brought in, because there are some countries in Africa where the woman is the one who's supposed to choose the wife.
Yes.
And and then there are some countries in Africa where the father chooses the husband.
Indeed.
And it doesn't matter what age. So this is really a very broad subject. And so I just really wanted the audience to know that it is broad and there are many definitions towards how people want to live it. And just a note here, I remember recently, back in February, I believe they decriminalized polygamy in Utah. So they have decriminalized it. So therefore, to me, that means that it's legal for them in Utah to now practice. And that's been about 85 years since they've been practicing it. And actually, the history goes way back into the early 1800s is when polygamy was outlawed. So that means it was traditionally under the cover, it was in secret most of the time that was accepted. So, you know, the whole polygamy is very interesting. And I'm thinking that it's a big deal now is because in modern day society, there are a lot of brothers who want to have more than one woman. And they would say that and all of those different religions that I'm talking about are saying that, you know, some of them will bring biblical context, Quran context with it in order to convince the woman to accept this. So I say that most men in the United States are probably not going to want the woman to have many husbands, as Joyce and you said at the beginning, that it is a two-way street. So again, it is the society in which we live and how we decide to do it. In any way, as the brother has said, it's a choice. And you have to be well educated and ready for the consequences, whether it's good or indifferent.
Who are you, Facebook user? It says Facebook user. Comment who you are, please. I have a question.
If I can I narrow on what she's saying right real quick, because it is a very broad category, but all categories of subcategories of the category. So when we take away the religion of it, we do look at things like everything it is that we look at. I don't care where we look at it from. Everything has a scientific point to it. So the main reason that outside of the economics and things of that nature, the main reason that polygamy is here is for your bloodline. Your bloodline carries everything. So the more children a man can have, the more wealthier, the more status he had in society. And now if we take away the religious aspect and look at polygamy in a scientific aspect, void of any holy scripture, a woman only produces so many hundreds of thousands of eggs in her lifetime. Men can have unlimited sperm. Men produce millions and millions of sperm. And regardless of your background, religious, science, I don't care what it is, the best blessing you have into life is to create. Even if we do take it to you know what I'm saying, the most widely known concept that people in Western society understand, that your seeds shall be as countless as the grains of sands on the shore.
Wow.
So like these things come down to the scientific aspects of procreation and standing in your proper capacity, because in your proper capacity, even when we do get down to the sexual aspect of it, there is only one time, one moment. I mean, it happens more than once, but there's only one moment in your life that you literally become in the image and likeness of the Creator. It happens for a woman twice in her life. See, with the man, he literally becomes in the image and likeness of a Creator when he ejaculates. A woman does too. You literally have death for many microseconds. You're literally dead and you're resurrected. See, a woman goes through the same thing when she gives birth. That's why back way back when, you know what I'm saying, women used to die from giving birth because they didn't have proper tools to help them not die. Also, on what she said about it being outlawed in the 1800s, like I say, Catholicism made monogamy the norm in Western society. So at one point in time, you have to understand that somewhere in every organization, I don't care what it is, even in your family, you have people that are just about the money. They're about their own gain, own profit. So within the economic gain in Catholicism, At one point in time, they made it to where only the holy men, the cardinals and things of that nature, could practice polygamy. Because it would extend their bloodline. And think about this: if the Cardinals have many sons and daughters and things of that nature, that means that the Catholic Church has control over who comes in and who serves the church. Like the people that come in and serve the king, you always have your agenda protected. But then as this goes on, and everything that a cardinal gets, their land, their money, their wealth, they get it from the church. So as you have this big family, those things that you get once you die, they don't go back to the church. Because if you are a man with no family, no seeds, when you die, everything you have amassed as wealth, and you're a part of the cloth, as they say, it goes back to the church. So if the church gave you $20,000 in this land and you done turned it into 200 million, and now you own just say you own a whole state. If you didn't have any seeds to give it to, that would go to the church. But now you have seeds, the church gets nothing back. So then they outlawed polygamy. Because it was not a financial asset to the church.
So
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. So one of the things that both of y'all talked on is the economic impact, right? And just statistics saying essentially it's more women than men, so it just makes sense to have it that way, right? But in our culture and our race, right, the women in the United States, African American women, have higher earning powers than the men. So if that's the case, wouldn't it make more sense for the woman to have multiple husbands than for a man to have multiple wives?
Well, that's a good perspective. However, remember what we talked about is it's also tradition, right? And it's also politics, right? So to say that it makes sense, if you're thinking from your head, it could make sense, because the woman could, if she's in the economic range where she can take care of two husbands or a co-wife and children, that is so. But I don't see the relativeness of it, because number one, as Amika started out and saying, it's illegal in the United States except for Utah, I think, at this time. So, and I'm not seeing where a woman can satisfy a man multiple husbands. And then she's also having to have children, knowing which child belongs to which father, and that's just a whole lot to unpackage right there. I mean, there's a lot of consideration. There's a lot of planning
that makes
goes
so much
along
sense
with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds good. I mean, a lot of women say, "Shoot, I want 2 husbands. I want 3 husbands." I remember I had a client say, "I got a man who shops for me. I got a man who does the housework for me. I got a man who does all these different activities." It's just important that you have 5 men to do all the things that she needs, and she'll only have intercourse with one. So
that leads to my point of, is it always, because when we look at it from our perspectives, it always seems sex driven.
Right. Yeah.
It seems sexually driven, and it's usually sexually driven by the men, because as you two explained, a lot of the nut brains out here aren't looking at the real aspects of this type of lifestyle or environment. They're just thinking with the wrong head.
I'm gonna let the brother answer that first.
To answer your question,
look, he said,
to answer your question, to come back to science, and I'm also going to answer backwards and commenting on what the sister said. It's not always about sex. The very first thing you have to understand that your flesh is your senses. Your senses are how you understand everything. The greatest pleasure you have in your body, I don't care what you eat, what you taste, what you see, the best pleasure that you feel, because it puts you back into your natural God state, is the pleasure of procreating. So if you take on, when a man takes on a wife, 9 times out of 10, he's taking on a wife and they're building a family. What's the only way you're going to build family without having sex? So it doesn't revolve around the sex. That's the only way I build this family. We don't have seeds. We do not carry this bloodline on without having sex. Even down to, like she say, the woman and what it could do to her body. It is very hard for a woman that you do have anomalies that happen where they're saying that women have had sex with two men at the same time and got pregnant, they had twins and so on and so forth. But in the way that your body is designed, you can only take in one seed at a time. You cannot take in multiple men's seeds. Outside of not being able to take in multiple men's seeds, there are women that have practiced polyandry, and in practicing polyandry, they have literally passed because of the wear and tear put on their vagina from pleasing each of their husbands. Going back to when she's saying it's society and culture, and to answer Joyce's question, you should not carry on anything that carries on the ways and the ways and the chains of your oppressor. So, and what I'm saying is, when we get down and we think back to everything it is we learned about slavery, don't eyeball me, boy. See, don't eyeball me, boy. Don't mean because as melanated people, we look at each other in the eyes and we see God. So we don't see the God in them when we look at them in their eyes. So they did these things. That's why they broke up the families. That's why you have things such as buck breaking. If nobody knows what buck breaking is that's listening, buck breaking is during the slavery time where the European slave masters, they weren't quote unquote homosexuals, but they were taking the masculinity out of the black men. And they were having sex, they were having sex with them. They were doing it in front of the women and their children to take their power away from them. They were also breeding us with each other. You know what I'm saying? So within the things and the ways that these are designed, before we came to Western society where monogamy is king, we lived a different way. No, everybody did not practice polygamy. You did have people that had monogamous relationships and things of that nature, but it was that was their best way of living. That was what helped them live the best. That was what helped them be most conducive to what it is that they could do. There is a saying that everyone has been hearing their whole life, and they have not even heard it in the proper context because they have not understood it. It takes a village to raise a child. You want to know why it takes a village to raise that child? Because next door he stays at home with one of his mothers. Next door is one of his mothers. Behind him in that other hut is one of his mothers. Next to that hut is one of his mothers. And those are all his brothers and sisters. And within the way that this village is connected, your village was your family. These were your cousins. These were your relatives. Your village. That's why we also used to have a certain quality of living, because we were not alien to one another. You know what I'm saying? So in the terms that we understand it and how we look at it today, people might not take it that far because they don't go that deep into the rabbit hole, but you're just carrying on your oppression. That's really what you're doing. You're staying divided. Even if we talk about the sister wives in Utah and stuff like that, we are the only people that are fighting over spouses, girlfriends, baby mamas, baby daddies. We're the only ones. Even if you look at the things that are extreme, and because we know that it is more prevalent in a European society that they have sexual interactions or relationships how they choose to, or how they deem necessary, even if those relationships are with adolescents, and they support each other. They find cause to support each other.
Yep.
we are the only ones that are fighting against everything that could unite us. And like literally, we're just carrying on our oppression. That's it.
Yeah.
So does monogamy work? Like, is that a realistic goal? Because ultimately, you know, we keep having these conversations about cheating. And, you know, one of the things Sharon pointed out is that we've accepted that men are going to cheat, and that's just part of it. You know, I don't love that, but I can agree with that to a certain extent. So are we just aiming for something that's just not a thing?
Yes and no. When I say yes and no, see, yes, we're aiming for something that's not a thing because we are putting ourselves within the box. And I say no because I know this show is about polygamy, but let's do this for a hot second. regardless of what your relationship choice is, whatever you and your mate agree to do, that's what should work. Whether it's monogamy, polygamy, like what you and your partner agree to do is what should work. So if you come across a man and you feel it's in you, like, okay, you know, I could do this, and let's do this. Whether it's monogamous or polygamous, your relationship choice and your choices that you're making as an adult that you should stick to is what should work. You should actually keep your word. Please understand also, you know what I'm saying, like in making these choices, a lot of people see marriage as that binding contract. Man, when you lay down with somebody, you consummating your marriage. When you lay down with somebody, you're making a covenant between you, them, and whatever spirit, the Holy Spirit, God, Allah, Yahweh, Krishna, you know what I'm saying? Whoever you, the universe, you're literally giving a soul tie. And you saying that this is, I'm putting myself in a union with this person.
Yeah, and
People
definitely,
don't even
agree with that. I
right. People don't
absolutely
even
agree with
understand that when you're having sex, you're literally signing like there's a lot of things within our culture that we have allowed other people to take to use to oppress us because they're not stronger than us. They have the mental game on lock. They understood. They studied us, and they found out how to overcome us with a pen. Because even when I say that pen, you go sign a contract. That's what marriage is. A lot of people look at, even when we get down to like things of voodoo, voodoo, the Ifa and things of that nature. A lot of people, a lot of melanated people will reject that and say it's of the devil. You know what I'm saying, or it's of another, or it's an evil entity. When you're really not understanding that when you have sex with somebody and they ejaculate with you, you're signing a contract with your semen.
Absolutely,
You're signing a contract with
part of
your
the
egg.
essence.
It's part of the essence.
Yeah.
They have come to criminalize who we are. That's even why you have certain laws like the Christian Black Codes. We have been criminalized, and in being criminalized, we are such innately good people that we want to be good. So we're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. So the brother has touched on. I see that you're getting ready to ask another question, and he did unpack a lot. There's some things I did want to quickly touch upon, Joyce, if I can, Amika, if I can.
Sure.
We talked earlier about the Catholicism and how they the cardinals and so forth were able to marry and have children, and now that's totally reversed. However, it wasn't only Catholicism. It was because you talked about legacy, and that was the reason why, particularly in Africa and even in the Jewish community and the Hebrew community, there is a distinction. I'm not going to go into that, but between the Jewish community and the Hebrew community, it was also and the Islam community, it was also about preserving the family legacy. And in the European stage, a lot of the incest, it was more the rich and those that had money and the monarchies and so forth. They're the ones who decided to intermarry in order to keep the legacy. And then as they were marrying others outside their family, they were marrying others who were in order to unite the countries in order to create more power. So I just wanted to make sure that people did understand that it is very much legacy driven, very much power driven, very much about politics. I just really wanted to broaden that perspective rather than it was just capitalism, because as we know now in the Catholic religion, cardinals and deacons, they are not supposed to, and we all know the local news and what's been said about the priests and the cardinals and so forth. They are supposed to be chaste, right? However, we know that is not the story moving forward. But definitely, I think one of the reasons why I chose polygamy, and it's a choice, and it is something that I think that a lot of couples don't talk about and set up those boundaries. And what does it mean? I know when a couple comes to me, the first thing I ask them to do is define a relationship and then define what is marriage and let both of them hear what that definition is. But now, because we're in this particular cycle, this phase where it's the, sex is everywhere, and that's what that's the vibration that I see a lot of young folks are going with. It's more polyamory. Because it's more about having sex with whomever, whatever gender it is that they feel. But polyamory is still based on truth, honesty, being upfront, and they know that they're going into a polyamorous relationship. That's where the issues, they break the contract. And I agree wholeheartedly with the brother when he says, once you decide to lay down, have intimate relations with the partner, now you have become intricately part of who they are. I've always told my children, if you're going to lay down with another person, remember that they are a potential parent to a child. Is this person the person who is worthy of also being a father or a mother to a child that you may have? And then to be able to look more onto just them, because when you become intimate, now you not only become intimate with the individual, you also become part of their family.
Indeed.
And we didn't talk about the true spiritual essence of what it means when you are sharing the semen. When you are sharing the semen and the woman's hers, there's a spiritualness. So it's just not them. It's all that they've been through with them, with the other people. All of that comes into the DNA.
Energy.
So it's a serious, when you lay down and decide to have sex with an individual, I don't think we consider all that goes into it. And so this is why we have so many disturbed individuals. This is why you have what they call schizophrenia and bipolarism and multiple personalities, because we've brought in so many energies within us, and then they get confused. And then don't let me start about ancestral energy that has been brought forth, because that's a whole nother issue. But having sex with multiple people, you are bringing multiple people and multiple energies within you. So that's why I chose monoganism, right? It was a choice, and I didn't make it as an unspoken contract. An assumed contract. That was a verbal contract. In my eyes, shake on it. Yeah, this is what's up.
That was going to be my next question. That was going to be my next question. So to piggyback on the fact of,
so we're going to say veggie back and not piggyback.
Veggie back. Oh Lord. Veggie back. No. Okay, so
no swine for the divine.
On what both of you guys touched on with, the sexual contact being automatically like saying I do. Do you guys, it is the actual government doing contracts, signing vows, is that even necessary, or could it just be something between you and that person where you guys communicate, agree, and it be that?
Woo! I gave you your answer already. So let's take this back to, like, as we say, we live in Western society. Western society, this is Catholicism. This is European society. So within everything that goes on within Catholicism and the way that marriage is right now, even if you go back to before now, back to those early times, Catholicism basically has all of its believers, citizens of this land, one way or another, you sign over your property to the church. Everything belongs to the church. So that's why you have a marriage certificate. It is literally a contract. And within this contract, you're legally binding yourself to the rules of Western society. So when you sign, so like, for instance, if a man dies and he has no family, that land just doesn't go up for sale. The church takes it back.
Government takes it.
See, this is to make sure that they always have control and rule over everything, because the reigning bloodline for European society is not a person, it's an institution. But
So
even when we do go, even when we do go back to, like you say, is there a certain way to do it? Yeah, because like I say, even if we do look at Western society, and this is where people actually have to start getting their own understanding, because nobody can interpret anything that is a word for you. I don't care if it's Quranic verse, or biblical verse, or anything of that nature. You have to have your own understanding, because what's for you is not for somebody else. But some things are plain, clear, and cut. You make a covenant between you, that person, and God.
God. So you answer my question. The answer
I
is
was just
no.
going to be
Thank
like,
you.
wait, you lost me when you said it goes back to the church. So you're saying church and government are interchangeable in that aspect. Is that right?
Yes, church. Like when in today's society, when they say that there's a separation between church and state, church is the church. See, state is the government. There is no separation between the two. Because even when you look at government is set up on what's called canon law. Canon law is 10 laws that come out of the Bible.
Okay,
There is no separation.
There's no separation. You can look at the dollar bill, Joyce, and it says, "In God we trust."
In God
Those are
we
two
trust.
different entities. So even though they may tell us that there's separation of church and state, it's just not a reality. But I would like to say that the other reason for people to go through the institution of marriage in the Western hemisphere is not only it does not only to make it legal, but in this society now is so that the like you said, if the spouse passed on, that they what the person has until they move on. So it's also a system where if you have a house, if there is just what you call a what they call it when you live together. When you live together, what they call it for 7 years, So even if there is a common law marriage, right, which most a lot of states don't have as legal, but if say one of them won the lottery, if they are not married, that money does not go back to the wife and the children. So there are a lot of other reasons for help, for power of attorney and power of health decisions. If there's not a legal marriage, a lot of times those rights are deferred to the next of kin. So those are some of the reasons why people may decide to have a marriage where they have a certificate stating that they were married. But just a quick personal aside, when the brother said, is that when my husband and I became one, he always introduced me as his wife. And so I was married with my husband for 8 years before we did the institutionalized marriage. And that was also because, okay, we have children now and we wanted everybody to be in a unit. To having the same last name.
So you did it for protection of assets.
I didn't do it because when you think of it legally, not when you say that I'm married, because I've always known my husband to be my husband. That was
right,
the vow we took. But when you do it institutionalized, it's more than just protection of assets. Because when you're looking at the legality of the state and where you are, there's a lot of stuff that you cannot, health insurance, there's a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of variability. It depends on what you decide.
I won't say assets. I mean on assets and then on a decision making. Like if something were to happen and you get to make the decision and you wouldn't be able to if that it wasn't on paper.
Right.
And the best asset that it actually gives you, yes, it does give you assets for those things that are material to you. The best asset it gives you, because I'm literally showing you in the breakdown of Western society. The most important part in the Bible isn't the things that God said. Please understand, is who beget whom. You have you have verses and verses of such and such beget such and such and such and such beget such and such. So when you get down to the legal aspect of it, it comes down to who beget whom because it traces your bloodline.
Okay, so hold on. So bring us to present day, because the average person is not quoting scriptures at me.
Okay, here we go.
Trying to extend their legacy. Hold on. They're not trying to extend their legacy. That's not the way that it's presented. If somebody came to me and was like, I'm just trying to feel your essence. I might feel a little different about right the whole setup, but it's presented in this sensationalized way of
That's
like
what I
I
said.
want 2 girls, and it's
Right.
not, it doesn't have any of the foundations
It's
that you all are speaking on.
bigger
So
than that.
when we're looking at it in where we are right now in 2022, where it's I'm trying to bring this other person home with us. Take us on that route so that I better understand what that looks like, what those dynamics are like. Because me personally, I feel like I'm not emotionally mature enough to handle that type of a relationship, because as soon as he kiss her, I'm gonna be ready to fight. Or as soon as I'm mad at him and then he hugging on her, I'm gonna be in my feelings.
It's just like what the brother said earlier, though, Joyce.
It wouldn't be for you.
Right.
It's not for you.
Right.
That's
But
right.
and the best route to bring that home here in 2022, like they're saying, it's not for you, it's for your family. You're looking at your foundation, your bloodline, like what's going to be carried on in your name. You're looking at your generational wealth. Even if you look at it where, like you say, today most men do not have the proper concepts for it. Understand this, back to science, because there's no separation between anything in science. Science builds everything. Math and science are brother and sister. Math and science are the creation of everything. Everything. So even when you get down to science, right now the earth is vibrating at such a high rate because it has gotten so debased from what it used to be. Everything has a vibrational rate. And even when you don't understand, everything corrects itself, whether it's trying to or not, or at some point in time when it gets so low of a vibration. So even in the men that don't have the proper understanding at this moment, please understand that, especially with the right woman, understand what I'm saying. And you understand that this person is getting back to the natural order, or what we call divine law or right law. You're getting back to who you naturally are. You're getting back to your essence. You know what I'm saying? So people are everywhere. People are going back to things that are natural and not what's man-made.
That made me want to sign up. Like that sound like I'm gonna come up and sign up. But as soon as he started talking about my essence, I'm like,
but I think it goes back to what you said, like, and them explaining it helps, because like you said, like I'm not mentally mature enough, but with education you could get there.
I'm not
or you can decide like Sharon, and I know she knows everything. She's well educated on it, and she chose monogamy. It's all a choice on what's best for you and your family.
Right.
But it's also it also came from a place of education.
And your spiritual foundation, that's what I was going to say.
She didn't just say,
I'm sorry, Joyce, could you repeat?
She started by saying that her husband, they were calling each other husband, wife before they were even legally on paper married as we understand it here. And so I think, her situation is just set up different than what I'm seeing and living.
I agree with that, Kale.
But the sister just made a very intelligent point. All the answers, all the questions that you all are asking about the subject, and anybody else, even if it's not the subject, anything else. Joyce, when you feel it in your spirit, you know it. I don't care what it is. When you feel it, so even if you don't have the mental capacity of the education, because your emotional intelligence is taking over. You have to learn. You have to learn. You have logical intelligence and emotional intelligence. And the man trying to explain it to you, he's explaining it to you in a logical sense. That's why we also have a lot of rifts in our relationship. And women are thinking from an emotional intelligence. So we're not meeting on the same plane, because we're actually we're blocking out what's natural to us, and our thinking or our carnal instincts, our human understanding is kicking in over our intuition or our spiritual understanding. And that's why we actually have a lot of social ills in society today, because people are in their carnal understanding, their human understanding, what they want to understand as a human. You know what I'm saying? Like, because even we're talking about polygamy, and you say you'll get jealous in things that are nature. In your spiritual understanding, you know you want generational wealth and everybody to be great. You want your whole family to be great. In your spiritual understanding, you understand that this is a blessing to be one of the last walking the earth. In your spiritual understanding, you will do just about any and everything you could within a righteous manner to make sure that your bloodline succeeds.
Wow.
See, but when your emotional or
Go forth and multiply.
your carnal understanding kick in, you know what?
Yeah.
Before I have a man and he have multiple women, I just be the last woman in my family.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah,
now your family ain't around for 2,000 years. Yeah, you was the last person, but now you the last person in your family for 2,000 years. You don't even have a chance at generational wealth anymore.
So
You
he
don't even have a
said
chance to partake in the blessings.
in 2022, it feels like it's more like a trend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is correct. In 2022, this is a specific topic where we're talking about relationships and how people in 2022 they really see them based off of sexual
Sex.
inhibitions and things of that nature. But
Mhm.
the reason that we are even at this point, remember I said everything has a vibrational rate.
Yes.
So the things
It's
that you watch, they lower your vibrational rate. So the music that you listen to, it lowers your vibrational rate. The food that you eat, yes, we're gonna say veggie back instead of piggyback, because those things that you're eating, you become a you become a why is the word skipping my mind?
I ain't
But
there yet.
you basically become subhuman in what you take into your body.
I ain't there.
So yes, a lot of people are
And the
not getting these
individual.
things. Yes, you're a lot of people are not getting these things because they're not even operating on those wavelengths. So, perfect example. Here we go. I know this is something that everybody can understand. Telekinesis. People say it's fake, it's science, it's fake, it's this, is that, it's not possible. But we have telekinesis out here in science and you can see it and everybody sees it. But their human understanding just doesn't understand it because they're not tapping into what they already feel and what they already know. See, telekinesis
My
is
brother, not everybody knows what telekinesis is, so you're gonna have to break that down.
okay. So telekinesis
I will hope that
is
they
when
do.
you speak to somebody without speaking words. You literally can have a conversation with them without speaking any words. So telekinesis in an example, telekinesis is FM radio, AM radio. These things get picked up on the wavelength, and then that's how you're able to tune into them. That's why we have
It's an
tuning
energy,
forks.
right?
It's an energy.
Yeah, it's an energy. That's right.
That's why you fine tune instruments so
Yeah,
that they can be felt on the proper
I
vibration.
use the tuning fork. That's right. I use the tuning
Yes, you
forks.
can actually
I
heal
use
yourself with the tune.
magnets, all part
Yes,
of healing. Singing bowls, because all of these, as he said, has a frequency level that is in tune, because your body works on the cells work on frequency. And
yes,
if you attune to that frequency, if you dial that radio, when you're driving, sometimes you get out and you don't hear the same radio station, another radio station comes in because you picked up a different frequency. So this is
yes.
just
Because
really higher science. So telekinesis is almost like what people call clairvoyance, when you have the ability to pick up energy. We all do it, because if you're sitting, just last night, my husband and I went out to dinner, and he was like, "Well, I don't sit with my back towards the door, because you got to feel the energy that's coming
Coming in the
in,
door.
right? And you know that if somebody's standing behind you long enough, or somebody's staring at you long enough, or us just doing each other virtually, Micah, or Mika, if I'm staring at you right now, you're going to be able to pick up that, she's looking at me for a real long time. You pick up that energy, and you feel it.
right.
The heart has an energy field that is over 12 feet. The brain has an energy that's only a couple of feet.
Yes,
So here again, it's about really feeling the energy. You hear about talking about, let's go back to relationships. We talk about having what people say, do we have chemistry? Do we have an energy that connects? Is there an interpersonal vibe that is happening? And so, that's what, breaking it down a little bit more, as what the brother was saying, the kinesthetics is the energy that we share. Even when we're talking about having intercourse, it's the energy. Everything is energy. And what we're seeing happening now in 2022, which Joyce, I know you can attest to, is that people are talking about crystals. People are talking about alternative ways of healing. And these alternative ways of healing is quantum physics. It is all about energy.
Yep.
And so now, as the brother said, we're back to our roots.
We're back to it. Like this is old stuff, but we feel like it's new.
But we're doing it trendy. We're doing it wrong because we're doing it trendy.
Yes.
I know Sharon, I specifically reached out to you and said, "Hey,
it's not trendy." I don't think it's trendy.
I think it's trendy. I think people are doing things that they don't understand and they're not taking the time to educate themselves. I remember specifically reaching out to Sharon and saying, "Hey, Miss Sharon, so I've been selling waist beads, but people are asking me to put trinkets on them and do all this stuff. I don't feel like that's what, this is for." And like, I remember specifically saying, this feels cheapened. It doesn't feel like you're trying. It feels like it's for fashion. And I'm not open to doing things that's for fashion, and having to have a realistic conversation with myself and saying, if somebody is operating in a way that to me doesn't feel genuine to what it's supposed to be, do I feel comfortable moving forward with this? You know what I'm saying? So when you're talking about exchanging energies, I also remember a conversation where I said, my partner makes me see this color. When we interact, it's this color, and I can just color is there, right? But that's not how can I have that with that person and then bring in an additional person to that?
So even in you asking that question and the things that you're saying, learned behavior is what's going on. See, you think that you can't see this and then see it with another person. Do you not see the moon in the day and it has the moon at night, it has a certain color, and you see the sun of the day, it has a certain color? You know what I'm saying? Even down to the thing where you're saying, okay, well, putting trinkets, that's not what it's made for. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you take that as that's your learned behavior, because you're like, it has a different meaning and people aren't taking it that deep. Well, you should also take it as deep as, I'm not selling waist beads to any woman that's going to let any man touch them besides the man that she is intimate with.
Absolutely.
And
you know what I'm saying? Within these learned behaviors,
of what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Within the learned behavior, I just saw the brother say 12 zodiacs and things of that nature. See, that's learned behavior, brother. 12 zodiacs. That is a European convention. We go on 13 lunar months. We don't go on solar months. We have lunar months. So even in the learned things, like you say, we're getting back to it because they just introduced a 13th zodiac. Yeah. And now we're like, oh, okay, we're back here on this 13th zodiac. And this is something new. No, actually, they're trying to slowly take you back to the truth while they have control of it. Now you're getting back to the lunar months. See, even with the lunar months, women also need to understand this because these are learned behaviors. When you get back to who they call Aset and Asar, Aset, or the woman that you usually see, and she has the moon over her head. See, the lunar months actually rules your menstrual cycle. Yeah. If you pay attention to it.
Yeah, I think a lot of women have recognized that. We all have the 13th month. I just wanted, so it didn't go past. And I hate to say go back because we're moving forward into what our true light is. It's because the earth is cyclic, right? So there's a time now where we as Africans ruled. And there's a time when now the Europeans, so now the cycle is returning, right? Mm-hmm. But the 13 up to this present day, Ethiopia operates on the Julian calendar, where the US operates on the Gregorian calendar, right? So they have 13 months. In Ethiopia today, it's year 2015. They operate 7 years back. In January, they'll be 2018. And so, Ethiopia is the cradle of civilization. And so a lot of these things are just man-driven, economic-driven, power-driven. See, now they're talking about they want to change the time, what is it? The time, what is it called? Easter, when spring back, fall forward, what's it called?
Daylight savings time.
So, thank you. I couldn't think of it. Daylight savings. Daylight savings is they're talking about that they're gonna do away with that.
Do away with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's purely economics. And there are some states that don't recognize daylight saving time. So all of this energy, all of this is, a lot of this is just illusion.
Yes,
It's
yes. A
not.
lot of this is just illusion. So when we do get back, because it's if so, like, please understand. You all see the broad conversation. It's not
Right.
broad. It's very specific.
Right.
But we had a broad, a quote unquote, broad conversation based on polygamy. We're
Polygamy.
Right.
really talking
Yeah.
about just how your life naturally cycles. A lot of
Right.
people are fighting against what is natural for them. So regardless of what type of relationship you choose to have, just don't fight what's natural for you.
Yes.
And then there
I,
are some that
I
say
love this.
monogamy is unnatural for human beings. That's that trend of thought as well. That man and women should have more. It's not natural for them. So there's that. That's the other side of the coin. There, that men and women are not supposed to be monogamous.
Yes. Hey, uh, I'm even about to go left field with it to bring it back because it's a broad topic. Right now, everybody in the world is looking at Kanye, and we've been looking at Kanye. If you look at Kanye, Kanye is literally, people say he's crazy. He's been working, but Kanye's been working a 20-year plan. Kanye has a documentary out called Yeezus. If you watch it, he's been working a 20-year plan, regardless of what anybody said. If you think
Mhm.
about one of the lyrics that Kanye said, he said, "Love is cursed by monogamy." Love is cursed by monogamy because everybody has this one thought that they think love is supposed to be. And if you love me, you're supposed to be this way. And if you don't feel this way, then you don't love me. And if a man feels this way, he doesn't love you. It's not possible for him to love multiple people. We are dictating. We are dictating. Because I'm not even gonna really get into what the word love means. Love is something totally different than
Right.
emotion and what people think it is. It
Mhm.
has nothing to do with emotion. It has nothing to do with that at all. Love really has nothing to do with emotion. Um, but we are dictating the worth of people and a person, and we're dictating the status, whether it is socially, spiritually, religiously. We're dictating about how people choose to live their lives based upon the type of relationships it is that they choose to have. You know what I'm
And
saying?
that's
Like, a lot of these things are rotating around us, and people will rather, back to Kanye, people will rather listen to Chief Keef for the baby than to listen to Kanye. But if you take the time to listen to those things and those artists that people really don't want to listen to, it's because there's a vibration in it that they're not able to vibrate with. It doesn't resonate them. That's why it doesn't get them hype. That's why it doesn't make them want to dance in the club. That's why even in today's society, in this time, that's why you can't put no Luther Vandross and the man look at you like, oh my God, like, I just really want to hug you and kiss you. You know what I'm saying? Uh uh in today's society, you throw on throat baby, man looking at you like, oh, I love you. I just love you. I love
Right.
you. But you know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? Like I say, throw on something that's old, and they gonna look at you like, man, you boring.
You lame.
You lame. What we
Like,
listening to this for?
like
They
what?
ready to go.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
I guess I'm boring and lame. I ain't never even heard the term throat babies. I'm like, what? I don't know. I've never said
I feel,
it.
So,
I feel
Don't put the
embarrassed to
don't
say.
put the vibration on you. Don't put
Yeah.
the vibration on you.
I'm just going to explain it to the sister. Throat Baby is basically a modern day love song about how much a man loves a woman because of the fellatio she gives.
Ooh,
But I ain't gonna lie. Okay, hold on. Because Sharon, now you know me on multiple levels, right? I'm gonna just say that's my song, and I'm just gonna say it. But
I'm
I
gonna listen to
also,
it.
I'll be the first one embarrassing my family.
I'm
Outside
well
dancing to
rounded
it.
with music, but
I'm
I get
well,
what
yeah.
he's saying.
Let's
I
put
get
it.
what he's saying. I absolutely get
However,
what he's saying. Yes.
Joyce, I wanted to touch back on what you said as far as trend. And because someone know it's not so much a trend, it is both. I think that we're thankful that in quotation mark that the higher sciences and the conscientiousness is trendy. So crystals and witchcraft and candle burning and all of that is it seems as though, and dreadlocks or locks, seems as though it is a trend, but it is also an infusion. And so here it comes. For those who have eyes to see will see, those who have ears to hear will hear it, and they will pick up on that vibration. So even though it's a trend, we're thankful, because some are going to be able to say, oh, well, I bought waist beads. What is waist beads for? Oh, she's wearing all these crystals. What does this crystal mean? And all of these things, locks. I've been locked since the 70s, and locks was for a particular intention, right?
Yes.
Because those in my cultures, we say that these are our antennas.
Antennas to God.
Imagine, right? So imagine now when we're seeing all type of people wearing locks, and because it has trended. But you will also notice now that certain people I've heard say, I want a locks, but I'm not ready for that step yet, because I know that when I locks, it's a particular vibration that I have to be in. So so trending is good, right? It has its pros
at the same time.
Say that again, Mika.
I said because it could be teachable at the same time.
Absolutely.
That's all the trend is. Because now, if you really think about it, in trending, just like she said, her antennas, she went within the vibrations of what I was going to say about trending. You cannot take anybody from their spirit. You cannot permanently disconnect them from it, because one point at time, some way or another, they're going to find their way back to it. So what we see as trends are coming from entertainment. And what is really entertainment comes from the very first form of quote unquote entertainment that we had, what Western society understands as entertainment, is the beating of the drum. See, that wasn't entertainment. These were rituals. These were rites of passage, and the beating of that drum was your heartbeat. So that's even why when you listen to music of people and melanated people in their genres, that's why they're bass heavy. That's why we ride around with 12s in the trunk, because we really tap into our heartbeat. See, you know what I'm saying? People started riding around with it because, everybody got it. And if you ain't got the loud music, you ain't, but it's still bringing you back to your naturalness, your oneness. That's your heartbeat. You tapping into it. Those trends we are so great as a people. We are very great as a people. Yeah. And we are so great as a people that throughout the ages of times, you have always had your ancestors. And within your ancestors, you always had people that knew, even if I have to take on these customs, just like this, where we get Santeria from. See, Santeria is basically, Santeria was where melanated people were not allowed to practice voodoo openly anymore. So they took on the Bible, and the 12 patron saints that they use, those are their 12 laws or their 12 ephas, and they were still practicing openly, but their oppressors thought that they were practicing the religion given to them. So throughout time, yes, we might have gotten misguided, but we have always had ones within our bloodline, our ancestry, within our culture that deeply embedded and rooted things, because they knew that they would get so far off that the lesson in it would get lost. But what they embedded in it, it can never get lost. And you would literally at some point in time, you would come back around to it. You would understand it. You know what I'm saying? The best thing that catches anybody's eye, even if we look at just like I say here in American society, the one form of work, career, industry, a job that regardless of how bad it is in America, that you will always have is entertainment. Because people always need to have something to make them feel good, something to laugh about, something to tell them a story. See, our trends are nothing more than people imitating the griots. Griots are people that carried on the stories verbally by mouth. They were walking human books of our history. That's all that's going on within the trends. People are getting it out of entertainment. Oh, this sound good. That look good. Let me do this. Let me do that. But it's really, every story is told from a story that came before that story. You know what I'm saying? At some point in time, and like in telling the stories, at some point in time, you have to go back and put in pieces of the story that you took out. It's just like reading a book and then watching the movie. And then people don't want to watch that movie no more. So you come out with part 2. Then you come out with part 3. One of the most successful shows that we have on TV right now is 50 Cent's Power, regardless of which installment of Power it is. And if you pay attention to how he did that, he gave you power, then he started going back and giving you the original pieces.
Yep.
Yes, you have to come back to the original pieces.
Yep.
But it's the part where you come back to the original pieces, right? When people walk up to me, when I'm wearing rose quartz and people just walk up to me and touch it, I already know you're looking at this as a trend, because otherwise you will understand it's not appropriate for you to touch my stones, right? And so that doesn't turn into a teachable moment. That turns into a moment of agitation and aggravation.
But it should be a teachable.
But it is a teachable moment.
It is
most definitely a teachable moment. Because see, the first thing you have to teach yourself is it shouldn't be a moment of agitation, because here you are with the person. Oh, I know you understand. You don't understand. So since I know you don't understand. Right. So since I know you don't understand, right, let me teach you and help you grow, because it's also going to help you grow. You just touched my rose quartz. Here, I'm going to give it to you. And I'm going to explain to you why I'm giving it to you. I'm going to explain to you why it doesn't cost you any money, because you touched it and nobody else is supposed to touch it. So unless you want to give it away, even if you just think it's a shiny thing, unless you want to give it away, don't let nobody touch it. And then even when other people see them and they try, please don't touch it. Why? Oh, because you ain't supposed to let people touch it. This is my personal energy. Just like she was talking about with your locks. See, just like with the waist beads. See, even with your locks, a lot of people would cut their locks off if you touch their hair. Because now you put energy on them that they did not want.
Yep.
Okay. And so with that, though, Joyce, 2 things that I'd like to address, as the brother has said, and if you don't want people to touch your crystals, then you wear it on the inside if you choose to wear it. The other perspective is the person was attracted to that because they probably need the energies that is emanating. And so it's always a teachable moment, though, my sister. It's always. So when they come towards you, you pick up the vibration that they're getting ready to touch, and you move back.
I do.
Right. And if you know that it doesn't, so one of the reasons why I don't wear my hair, I always have it up so it's not as full length, because it's going to be an attraction, and people are always going to want to come and touch it. And so you have to be on guard and protect what you hold dear to yourself. So if you're wearing certain gems and and you find that people are always coming to you, then you need to wear it on the inside, because it's for you. Now, if you're wearing it because you want to emanate it on the outside, know that there are going to be people that are going to be attracted to that energy. And if they come to you and towards you, then say, hey, did you know that it's not a good thing to touch people's crystals? And then start educating them on that. When I first moved to Georgia, dreadlocks was not a thing. And I had to educate a lot of people, and I understand the agitation. But when I came, though, I always had my hair covered, because I knew that people didn't understand. So I covered my hair for over 30 years, right? Until I reached into a level of being a queen and knowing how my boundaries are, so I can enter a room and certain people will know, don't come, and other people will come. Because it's an energy that you carry. And it's like certain people know, oh no, don't touch her hair. It's a look, it's a feel, it's a vibe. It's like, oh, no, don't come here and do that. But you can ask. I've had many people where I've had my crystals, oh, can I touch that? No. Well, what do you need to know?
Look, what the sister just said.
Use it as an example, right? Because when we're talking about things that are kind of people are doing for reasons that are trendy, they can't teach because they don't know, right? So when we're talking about this new poly life that everybody is kind of leaning towards, they can't tell me I've had people approach me about it. I've never heard none of the stuff y'all talking about. Right. So if I don't know, but if I'm asking you because I see that's how you're living, how you can't educate me if you don't know either. And so that's my concern with the trends, that everybody's kind of leaning towards this thing. Somebody in the comments mentioned CMOS. I think it's disgusting. I tried it. It's gross. I can't do it. Too much. I asked somebody, why do they use it? And they said it's good for you. And I was like, okay, but like, what? Why do you use it? Right? It's good for you is such a generic answer that
Right.
was motivation for me to want to go forth.
Right.
And
So if they had
express
told you that it has
Well,
72 different minerals in there,
yeah.
and then how it helps to boost your immune system, and how it
So
helps to give you certain, it depends. And just the way you describe it, I was brought up on CMOS, right? Because I'm Caribbean, right? So I was brought up on CMOS and been making it ever since I was a child, right? And I did the old one, not the ones that they have now, but the CMOS where you have to wash out the salt and boil it and get the gel and all of that. But you can always use the CMOS and mix it in any milkshake. You'll never taste it. It's like tofu. It depends on what you mix it with. So you won't know that I could give you a shake and you won't even know you have CMOS in it.
You told me that about whatever to get that cough out, and I tasted it for like 3 days. So I don't know if I'm trusting that.
Hey, look. Getting on to what the sister said about her hair, even down to the sea moss and how to explain it. She told you about the 72 minerals. This is how great and perfect everything is. You have to tap into your spirit and what you know, even down to the layman terms. Like she was telling you about her hair and she had it covered for so long. Like, let's get back to the relationship part of it, even if we are talking about poly, but this goes to relationship, period. All things are subcategories of the category. So you keep you covered. And the best answer that you might have to give somebody why you do it is because this is for me. It works for me. See, because when you start trying to give those expounded answers to people, this is when you give them the chance to try it. Usually when people ask questions about things that they don't understand, they're trying to find where your pressure is built up and they're going to crack you. So yes, a lot of the things you might ask people and things of that nature, they might not have an answer that's for you, but that's the answer that's for them. See, when it comes down to you dealing directly with somebody and this the person you're going to deal with, then you have to find a way to get into what makes it for them. What makes you feel this way? How do you feel this way? And if you do have this type of understanding with this person and you feel that within you that this is a good person, even when they give you those superficial answers, then you take the time, and sometimes you have to break down, even if you don't understand what poly is and why they want to practice it. You have your own understanding with somebody telling you, well, I want such and such. I just want to have a lot. Okay, well, in having a lot, so you mean that in having a lot, what does it take to have a lot? It takes a lot of hard work. So you're saying you're going to be a hardworking man for your family? So are you saying that you're going to do such and such, 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 because you want to have a lot? I'm down with you having a lot. I'm down with having a lot too. So that means that in us having a lot, let's break down what having a lot looks like. And now, away from all the technical terms, you get to something that's personal.
And so
I'm saying,
what I
like,
would
stop.
do,
and I was gonna also say that sometimes when they do give you the general answer, or if you don't like the answer, we have a responsibility, if it's something that we want to know, to educate ourselves.
research it. That's right. That's exactly what I was going to say. Sometimes, because someone commented and said that not everybody needs an explanation. And that's absolutely true, because some people are just curious and they just want to know where your head is at, or people genuinely want to know. But that's for your discernment. And if you feel like this is a person who just is curious and it doesn't mean anything to them, I was like, I'll be like, maybe you should do some research on it on your own, and then we can have a conversation. That's where I would go with it. But let's circle back to the original subject of polyamory. It just reminded me of a client, a couple that I had, and the sister said, we're having issues because he wants me to submit. And so I said to the brother, so is that right? And he says, yes, I need a woman to submit. So I had the sister go and look up the word submission. And when she read the submission, he was like, nah, that's not what I'm talking about. And so it was an opportunity for him to explain what does submission mean to him. And then they could have a conversation around it. And I say that to say that if a brother steps to you and he says, I'm interested in polyamory, or I'm interested in polygamy or polygamy, or then you say, tell me your definition. Ask them, what does that mean to you? And how do you plan to implement that? How does that benefit you? How does it benefit us. How can then it's up to you to be able to say to yourself, okay, I can see myself 5 years from now, how this serves me or not. So it's still, you are accountable for how you want to be in that relationship. So if someone steps to you and says, this is the relationship they want to have, that's for a deeper conversation. What does that mean to you? So that you now can have an intelligent, a heart to heart to understand why you want to go that way. Maybe in the end, he'd be realizing, you know what, I don't think I want this. Mm-hmm. Or maybe he's in a thought. Now that you put it that way,
I have another question.
I can deal with that.
I have another question on the subject. So, okay, with us being in the Western hemisphere, or what you guys describe it as, if you were to choose polyamory or polygamy as a choice, how would you say you get your kids, like, if there's kids involved, how do you get them in tune, or what do you explain to them when, this, to them, this isn't normal either. To them, they might be seen as the freak family. You know what I mean? And you never want like your kids being judged off your actions.
Yeah.
While they're growing up into adulthood.
You do that by the same way you do everything else in life. Sometimes we make things too complicated. Before you tell a child what a number is, it's foreign. Before you tell a child what hot is, it's foreign. It's weird. See, children, especially at that age, they're very impressionable. So what it is that you teach them, and in the proper ways that you teach them, they will have their understanding, and they'll stand on what other people call weird as normal. For instance, I was just out of New York, and the community of Hasidic Jews, they don't care what nobody else think. Their children don't care what anybody else think. It's all about how you rear your child, not what society has out there and what society dictates. So within teaching these things to your child, you should use the same tools that you will use to see if this is a viable relationship option for you. The very first thing that you should have to see if it's a viable relationship option to you, with asking, like the sister said, ask, man, how can this help us? How can it help you? What makes you want to do this? That means that this man should have a plan. If there is no plan behind it, you know what I'm saying? Before, if a man comes to you and wants to do this before he has a plan, you should run away. You know what I'm saying? Like you should run away. Like, the only way you shouldn't run away is if he's bringing it to you and he's letting you know, like, this is a new experience, something that I would like to experience, and this is something that he has to learn. Unless he's open about, he has to learn on it to build it. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be with the man that this is the lifestyle that he wants and he doesn't have a plan for, because how could you want something that you don't have a plan for? People have plans for getting up in the morning, going and stand in line for some Jordans. They get on, make raffles. You know how to get what you want and how you want to make it work. You know what I'm saying? So there should first and foremost be a plan. And if there's a plan and a proper formula, a viable formula that is conducive to having this lifestyle, this is the blueprint that you have and the workbook. These are the worksheets that you have to give your children, because you have a solid plan and a solid foundation. So that means that you could take this, as we say, you don't give meat to babes, you feed them milk. You can feed them the pieces of the information that you have within the plan that are going to help them understand. See, because when it comes down to any child, especially your child, all you have to do is express something first and sit back, and they'll ask all the questions. They'll show you which way to teach them. And in the places where you don't have the proper answers, children are actually understanding enough of you saying, let me find the best way to explain it to you. Or let me find the best way that I could show it to you. That's actually also the best way you're going to teach these children, are by visuals. They have children are until we get to a certain age, because we are learned things, we're taught things. they're hands-on learners.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So even in how you say some children might talk about the other children because you're in the weird family and this, that, and the third. If your child loves their home life, even if we take it to the far extreme of, you got a lot of children that don't care that they mama crackheads because they mama might be crackheads, but she take very great care of them. They happy at home. They mama do everything. They don't care about anything that anybody else. They'll stand the strongest and the proudest because they have a happy home life.
Yep.
So as long as you make the life conducive to your whole family and it's happy and it's thriving and your children can literally smile behind it, they're genuinely happy on the inside because of what they feel, not just because their mom is happy. See, then they'll also be happy because their mom is happy. And then they're going to be more understanding of why their mom is happy. And mom, how can I help you be happy? Because it makes me happy.
So I'd like to offer a different perspective on that. I think it's two ways. If you already have children and then this is a relationship that you're entering to where there are already children of a certain age, that is one instance. If you don't have children and then you are growing them up within this lifestyle, that's also a different way.
Right.
I think the way that I believe that I've seen and heard it most successful is when you're with like-minded. You have to be in that community. As the brother has said, you look at the Jewish community in New York. I'm a New Yorker, so I know that community very well. And you stay within that community, so now everyone is not different from you, and you don't put your children into a situation where they're always having to defend. Because even that crackhead mother with the child, he still does feel indifferent. His home life may still be very good and happy, but he still does. Let me just say, the child, depending on the age, there is a feeling that they get that they are different, even though they're happy at home. So it's a very strong foundation, because you can also look at it when you're looking at the LGBTQ community and so forth. Their children, the ones that have the two same-sex lifestyle, and they have children, they also know that there is something different when you're calling two daddies or two mommies. There's also a whole difference. They know the difference when they're in the school, when most of them have a two-parent household that is male and female, or is taught that way. That's why they're trying to change that whole educational system. But I only brought that up because I don't want to step on any toes. I only brought that up. That works. To me, in the Western Hemisphere, works when you are with a like-minded community. If you are the only one in your friendship and you don't know any other folks that are having this relationship, it's not working. That's my personal opinion. It does not work. And all the
thank you for
that we talked about will come into it. So you'd have to be with a community.
Yes.
To help support. That's when the brother said it takes a village.
That's the village again.
Community that is going to be able to support them, so that when they go outside of that community, they are armed with the confidence, with the foundation that this is how we live. And,
I support what the sister is saying.
Yeah, we got a lot of teachings.
I support what the sister is saying. Like, even if we go back to the example of the Hasidic Jews in New York, so like the Hasidic Jews are actually taking over neighborhoods in New York, and like we were talking about polygamy and things of that nature being illegal in majority of places, they have actually moved in neighborhoods, and the government has rezoned neighborhoods for them to have multi-family homes. As a community, they have come together, and if they're going to go buy a house for the family, their community has came together and bought this $450,000 house, and the house next to it, and the house next to it, because they're literally building this community. When you see them out, they're always together. They go to school together. They go to their own schools together. They are amongst themselves. Yes, they have to go out into the world and deal with other people, because we are of the world. Everyone lives here. No man lives amongst themselves. But in operating on their day-to-day operations and what they do, they're together, and they're with nobody but them. They're not letting anybody from the outside sway what they believe. They
So, but
all
when
dress the
we
same. They look the same. Same haircuts. Women wear the same clothes. I guarantee you, I'm being for real. Even down to how we send our children and they go on bus stops. If you go to a Hasidic community in New York, at a certain time in the morning, you're going to see every mother outside on the porch or in front of their house with their child. And if there's 20 houses of Hasidic families on this block, there's a Hasidic bus driver. Even when she said Jewish, ish means pertaining to or something like. It doesn't mean the real thing. So these Jewish people that say they're Hasidic Jews, as they're out there, there's this bus driver. He's a Hasidic. The writing on the outside of the bus is in Hebrew, doesn't have any English on it. It's stopping at each house, picking up each child. The child does not have to walk anywhere, and like clockwork, you see the mother come out with her children. You see the mother come out with her children, and the children get on the bus, and you see her. You listen to her give the salutations to the bus driver and the departing words to her children. And as the bus pulls off, once it gets to the next children in front of her, then she turns around and she goes in her house. And this literally happens in a line up a block. And then as the day goes past, you literally see all the men go to a certain temple, or you see the men, they go to a certain house. And they have fellowship with each other, and they do what it is that they're doing within their allotted times that they have made for their community. So
but
even
in
if
the
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I'm sorry. But in our society, when someone's in a relationship and they kind of isolate themselves just to that relationship and that dynamic, then it's seen as negative, not as something that we're supposed to be looking towards.
See, because that's because you're not part of the community. So even in what you're saying, so like within the same community, back to using the example that I'm using, they also help each other decide on their relationships. And if there's a situation that's going on between you and your wife that you're not sure about, or you're having a rift between each other, you take it to the community. You take it to the appointed person of the community, and you sit down and you have a discussion with this person. And whatever that person, your Abba, they take it to their Abba. Abba means father. They take it to father. Father isn't their biological father, but is the father of their faith. They take it to him, and whatever he decides is best, that is the word of that is the word of the Lord for them. So you know what? My husband, he said he want to do such and such, but I don't like it, and it makes me feel a certain way. This is what a sister was saying. In certain cultures, they make you put your feelings away. So you know what, sister, in the way that you feeling, this is against our culture. This is against our beliefs. This is against our God. This is the best decision that is to come down. And they say that it's the word of God because they get it from the text that they use. And if you're committed to your faith, this is the decision that has to be passed down. And you know what I'm saying, within the morals and values that each person has for themselves, that means they commit themselves to their faith. And they commit themselves to their faith, they commit themselves to their community. So they have their own personal relationships. You have your own family, but your family is a part of a family. Where your family is going to be supportive of what's going on. Nobody's going to, like you say, somebody say, man, you so into your relationship and they're not a part of the whole. They're part of themselves. They're part of themselves that like to be in your life. It's not a collective. It's
So
their circle.
if they ever decided, okay, say they are in that Jewish community and they 10 years from now decide this isn't for us anymore, are they oust or kicked out of the community?
Yes, the only way you're not going to follow the rules and regulations of that community is you're excommunicated. Other than that, you have to follow. If it's something that you don't want to do and you strongly feel I don't want to do this and I'm not going to do it, there is the door, and nobody can talk to you.
Even
Nobody
Jehovah
can talk to you.
Witness.
You could call one of them and say, please help, somebody's chasing me, and they gotta hang up on you. They can't even answer the phone for you.
Well, yeah, it depends on how strict they are, but in general, if you decide that this is not for you, then you are not going to be part of that community anymore, and you just leave. And the Jehovah Witness community, they are excommunicated, and no one is in that in their circle, or even if it's family, will invite them if they can't come up and be part of family gatherings and so forth. You now are not part of our community. So it's a choice that you make. And this is why they keep everything amongst themselves, so that you really are not tempted to be part of another community.
Interesting.
Okay, Mika. So
It
they
sounds like it almost sounds like another form of control again.
Well,
When you
religion
get back to
is.
that.
Religion
Yeah.
is. Religion
Yes.
is an institution. It is a form. So religion is totally different than spirituality.
Yeah.
So we ain't gonna get
Yeah.
started on that topic.
But
Yeah.
We have no
Get
time.
started on that
We have
topic.
no
But
time.
it is
sounds
forced
like
because it
sounds
is a
like we
religion.
right back where we started when y'all was
Yeah.
explaining Catholics. like
Okay.
Religion is an
So with
institution.
all-
Catholicism is an institution. And
Yeah, it
so
definitely is.
we are governed by the institutions of United States. So these things that you said, it doesn't work. It works in not in the Western Hemisphere, because that's not the vibration of the Western Hemisphere. It really works in communities where that thrives and people thrive. So really and truly, I don't see it working in the Western. It works like Utah. Look how long Utah had to fight in order for it to feel comfortable, because before it was legalized or decriminalized, I should say, is they had to do everything in secret.
right.
They were being abused. Children were being abused. And so that was a major concern that is still an issue in polygamy, is the abuse that usually the woman and the child has to go through. So in the Western Hemisphere, if this is not part of the tradition, you did not grow up in a community where this is normal, it's going to be an issue.
But with our divorce rates where they are, it looks like monogamy doesn't work in our society.
And it's the
It's
reason
the-
why people get married, right?
Yes, because it's like the sister was saying, and I used that word earlier, way earlier. The institution. See, within the institution that we are living within, in the way that it is created, because like the sister said, it is about politics and it is about power. Those are the two things that it come down to, because politics help you get power. Power helps you get the politics. So within this institution, you know what? We're going to take away these things from you, because those will help you be more powerful than us. That'll take away the power from us. So we're going to give you this here, and we're going to give you the power to decide if you do or if you don't want to be with somebody. Because legally, even by the way that the contract is, but this is to the powers that be. Because legally, by the way the contract is, unless there's infidelity, you're not even supposed to be going to get no divorce. The court's not even supposed to give you one.
Right. But now they have all of this irreconcilable differences and all
Right. Hey,
of
look,
that stuff.
I'm about to give you, without going super deep on it, the reason that you have these loopholes is because now you get to enter into another contract that the government controls. So as
What
many
contract
contracts,
is
as many contracts you have many contracts, whether it be the car you drive, the relationship you want to have. That's why you get to refinance things. Even if we look at it, that's a very good way to explain it. And you owe on something, and they tell you, oh no, and then they come back and tell you, well, you can refinance this way. You have a higher rate. You have to do this and do that, or you have to commit yourself to the next 6 years instead of 2 years. They keep giving you those chances because those contracts are actually contracts is what's called in microeconomics, it's called guaranteed monies. See, with the proper contract, if you have 100 viewers that tell you, I will pay you $100 a month to subscribe to your show, 100 viewers, $100 a month, that's a nice, piece of change. And you can go for that piece of change with that contract, and you can take it to the bank, and you have guaranteed monies. And because you have those guaranteed monies, now they'll give you that money because it's guaranteed that you're going to make that money back for them. So everything that you're doing within this Western society everything that you do. Think about it. Even from when your child is born, you put them in a contract. Everything you do, you have to sign certain rights, or you have to waive these rights. These contracts amount to fiat. Fiat is the more ancient term of money, because money, you know what I'm saying, what we consider money, that's not the true wealth, or that's not the true money. You know what I'm saying? Like these things put you back into a number for them to get financed, because the true fiat has now turned into paper. That paper contract on that white piece of paper with those black letters and numbers on it is more valuable than a piece of gold now, because this is what they have gotten us into in their society.
So, but you've
Like,
had relationships that were poly, right? But it kind of went the same way that a monogamous relationship went. So help me understand that.
so like, okay, I'm gonna tell you why I chose to step away from polygamy. I'm not pro polygamy or pro monogamy. I'm pro healthy relationship, for one. The reason I chose to step away from polygamy is because I had to understand as being a true man to what it is that I want. The majority of women don't actually have the proper mindset for it. Like the sister said earlier, they get into it and they might agree to something, but they don't agree wholeheartedly. See, and that's destruction to what I'm building. Because then other people that could possibly be viable candidates for what I'm building, they don't see why it wasn't conducive. All they see is the failure. You know what I'm saying? So even within that being so, Joyce, you know, when I was into the lifestyle, like I was at a very high point in the lifestyle, even making sure that I did have a plan. At the point in time that I was running this lifestyle, I literally made sure that, and I feel like this about life, period. Your lifestyle should pay you to live it. So when I was strong into it, I literally garnered a 7-figure contract for me and my family, where everybody was going to get paychecks just for being with me, because this is our family. This is what we're going to do. And us just being us, we should be able to garner and support our lifestyle just by living our lifestyle. But things in the way that it is that in the way that it is that I garnered the support and the provisions for those that were a part of my unit, it came with some glitz and some glamour. I'm not about the glitz and the glamour. I'm not about that. I'm actually about my morals and my ethics. So within the glitz and the glamour, some people get distracted. And when I see, you know what I'm saying, like, we can have the glitz and the glamour, but when it's overruling what my morals are, I just can't do it no more. I can sit back and be by myself, because I'm gonna be great by myself anyway. And me being great by myself, whether I have monogamy, whether I'm just out here running the streets with women, whether I'm in a multiple relationship, none of it is gonna make me overrule my morals and my ethics. I don't care what I'm doing. I have to always have positive intent. There has to always be something that somebody is going to learn, or is something that I'm going to be able to use to help build and grow myself and the people around me. You know what I'm saying? So like, even when I was practicing poly, like Joyce, you've been knowing me for a long time. Yes, the point that I was able to use the most, that men was like, man, I want to do this. How you got all these women and this, that, and the third, and the women just talk to you, and this. I use it as teachable moments. Yeah, I use the pieces where, like you say, it's not based on anything. Oh, that was the bait just to reel them in. So let me tell you how to be a real man over here with this. Let me tell you what your responsibilities really are. And then this when you really start seeing a lot of men say, oh, nah, I ain't trying to do all that, because it was the teachable moment. You know what I'm saying? But when it got away from the morals and the ethics, because I go by my rules. Even in saying, before I even stepped away from poly relationships, I stepped away from the contract that garnered my family 7 figures. You know what I'm saying? 7 figures for contracts for like 3 months. 7 figures for 3 months. I stepped away from the contract first because the company that we had the contract with broke my rules. And then they tried to offer more money for breaking my rules, but you broke my rules. The money's not worth it to me. Because the only reason I'm even doing this is for one, because I have to provide for my family. And in me living this lifestyle, I know that people are going to look, they're going to have questions. I know just within the stature and how people see me and how people know me, that they're going to see it for something that it's not. So I had to use it as a teachable moment, because it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about no glitz and no glamour. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the first thing I stepped away from was the money, because it went against what I was for. You know what I'm saying? So like, in me living my lifestyle and my relationships, period, monogamy is polygamy to me. Polygamy is monogamy. It's what me and my partner or partners, what we agree upon to do and what we agree upon to be. And I don't care if I've been knowing you for 14 years, been loving you. You step outside our agreement, I gotta go. I don't know you no more.
I don't know.
Because that means that you're gonna. That means that you.
Essence.
Say that again.
Some of your little girls wasn't. They essence wasn't really
Yeah, and right, like they some of them, like, so also in, like, we're talking about vibrations. You have a lot of people that they can match your vibration because they're drawn into it and they get it off of you. But when they go back into them places where it's not a light community, they drop back into those lower vibrations. And you get tired of having to raise somebody's vibrations up every time they come back around. And at some point in time, if your vibration is that high, you're going to realize this isn't your vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't lower mine by intertwining it with yours, because I'm not going to be able to raise your vibration because you're happy in that lowly state that you're in.
Yeah.
And you got to learn to walk away. Like, all them feelings, emotions, history don't mean nothing. What the history I got with anybody, and please understand this, what does the history I have with anybody, including the first God I know, which is my mother, what does that have to do with me being successful for myself and taking care of myself? If I got to cut my mama off because she is opposed to me being successful because it's not what she agrees with, as long as I'm doing the right thing, hey, I got to walk away from anybody. You know what I'm saying? And that's how life is. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Joyce, you see me go through life, and sometimes my life be a certain way. And then when I be like, oh, no, that vibration ain't matching. See, I'm open to the people that have my same vibrational rate. You know what I'm saying? If you got the vibrational rate, even if I got the poly mindset, the person that got the right vibrational rate, woman, how do you want to do it? You want to do it this? You want to do it left? Or you want to do it right? I'm down with doing it however you trying to do it, because I'm not down with the paradigm. I'm down with the vibrational rate.
So you said one thing that I feel like pretty much almost sums everything up as far as relationships go. You got to be good with yourself above all. If you're not happy with you on the inside, or happy, period, monogamous, polygamy, none of that's gonna work. Period.
That's right. That's absolutely true. And it's the first rule of thumb when you're dealing with, or when I have couples that come to me for relationship challenges, it's always about their emotional DNA. It's about the wounds that they've carried and what they've brought forward. So once they are learning the true essence of themselves, so that they can bring 100% to the relationship. And oftentimes it is the examples that have been set before them. It is their limited beliefs. It's their unknown trauma that they haven't recognized. It's been part of who they are, and they project it back into the relationship. So oftentimes, all the time, it's not a communication issue. It's a connection, right? And sometimes you have to learn a little bit more about who you are and how you express yourself, and who you become when you're angry, and who you become when you're happy, and how does that affect you. And when both parties understand that about themselves, then now they can understand why this person acts this way. And then they learn how to effectively have a conversation that will bring some resolution.
Right.
So it is about knowing oneself. And not all the time is about you have to be 100% right with yourself. Oftentimes you will pick a partner who teaches you a little bit more
Mm,
about yourself, and you can see that
mm,
mirror reflection, and then
I
both
agree.
of you can grow together, because a
I agree.
relationship is about growing together, elevating each other so that we can be our best spiritual selves. And so it's not that you have to be 100% nothing is
100%.
wrong with you, because we all got issues, right? We all got issues. But it's recognizing that, and then we're going to support each other. We're going to work through this. And it's about having that understanding that this is that we're growing. And a lot of the relationships, it's always about me and what they ain't doing, instead of about us and what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what's not working, it's what is working, and how we can build upon what is working, so that can make the balance, because we will never always be in agreement, because we're individuals and we
Right.
have our different uh, um, thoughts around that, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we may
Yes.
have the same way to get to where we want to go, but we have different paths, and that's an individual thing. Some have to can walk straight, and some have to walk crooked, but they both going to get there, because that is the intention. So when you're dealing with intent and how you want to grow together, is how the relationship can now elevate. So don't just think that you have to be 100% together.
Okay.
You, you
Mika,
can.
Yes. I
with
told you
all the things.
I was a learner today. I was in that mode.
So with all the things, right? Because they gave us a lot, right? With all the things, pro poly or no?
Uh I mean, I'm neither. I'm either or. I'm team I'm team happy.
But she just still did ask you a specific question. So if you were to choose,
If I had to choose, I'm gonna be monogamous. I mean, I
and you,
don't
Joyce,
the
and you, Joyce, you can't just put your girl on the line there. You gotta
Because she's
come
one
with
of
it
them
too.
people. You got to give her that uncomfortable silence, because then she'll, you know what I mean, put some color on that thing. So she was gonna put the color on there.
I because I could. I mean, honestly, I feel like mentally, I could do both. It's really about communication and understanding. I would prefer just me and another. Um, but it would have to be a conversation and a complete understanding. I'm not a jealous person, so emotion. If I was to ever enter into the poly world, emotions is wouldn't be a problem for me. I really don't go off emotions. I'm not an emotional person. So a jealous spirit with another female, no, I I don't do that now. So I mean, I would prefer my husband,
So
and
can I just
it would have to be right. It would literally have to be right. Like he would have to come with me, like Exo said, with a whole plan of you know what this gonna be, what the understanding is, how we're growing, what's like what's the whole what's the whole benefit of it.
Mika, can I just, and this is not going to be long for me, Mika, can I just have you offer that is communication and honesty? It's not about
It is.
understanding. It's about,
Well,
because you can understand and there's still not honesty there. So
okay,
it's
so yes,
communication and
communication
honesty.
and honesty. Yes. Like, yes, okay, not understanding communication and honesty.
But I would say the way that you communicate varies based on who you're talking to. Like, even just in this dialogue with the four of us, this has gone very different than previous podcasts where there were people everybody kind of talking at the same time. Like, it's okay, brother, you go first. All right, queen, you, like, it's so the whole vibe is different because the people are different. And so to me, that lends to a poly life that, like, where I could see how it could work. For me personally, I understand my limitations and I know what I struggle with, and I know that lifestyle, I would be the problem. Like, even if I knew the plan, I know that I would be the one that would be taking us off course because I'm distracted by my own personal insecurities and my own personal hangups that would make me not even so much set on what I've been taught, just what I know that I can't rationalize and get over, right? Like, if I'm in my feelings, I wouldn't want you trying to cater to two people in that moment. I would want your attention in that moment. And that's selfish. And polygamy is selfless.
Yes.
Yes.
But would you say that in saying all of that, you still have work to do, period, even with monogamy?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, baby, I need to pay somebody.
I mean, we all got work to do. But I'm just,
every week I come on here and tell you I am terrible at dating. That's why I say about myself, I'm terrible. I keep saying I'm terrible at dating, and I know
Stop
I
saying that, Joyce.
I know you.
yeah,
Right.
now you
You heard
do
me, I was
gotta
about
Stop saying that,
fix it.
Joyce.
You do
You heard
gotta
me,
Stop
fix
saying
it.
you're terrible at dating, and you
I
want
was-
to affirm that you can date and have a good time. Set the intention instead of saying what you don't want. Say what you do want.
What you do want, yes. Like, and Joyce, you just said, like, polygamy is selfless. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when you have the proper environment, you know what I'm saying, and just the community within your polygamous relationship, like you say, you in your feelings. See, your sisters are supposed to be selfless, and they're supposed to send. They're supposed to send, you know what I'm saying, the head of your household. They're supposed to send that man to their sister. Hey, man, she's feeling a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Go take care of her. Please go take care of her. Because they want peace, love, and unity in their household. And if that man is not able to go and do that, even if it's because he's at work, you know what I'm saying? When I say cater, I don't mean they're supposed to come to your every whim and want and need, but they're supposed to cater to you until y'all man is able to get to you. He might be at work. He can't take care of, you know what I'm saying? So one of the women might be able to talk to him, and she might be able to relay it to him, and he might be able to give some of his words, and before he's able to get the time to even take care of you, because you're in your feelings, your sister's supposed to be there for you. But whether they can get directly to you or not, your sisters are supposed to be there for you, and they supposed to tell you, because like in some poly relationships, everyone sleeps in the same room every night, and some of them they have different rooms and they sleep with each other. He sleeps with them on different nights. So you know what I'm saying, within it being selfless, say today Thursday, and she's supposed to be like, you know what, Thursday is our sleeping night, but my sister is feeling a certain way. Hey, she needs you to go in there, and you need to go in there and talk to her. You know what I'm saying? Y'all need to have some pillow talk. You need to cuddle with her. You need to make her feel comfortable. I'm even going to cook y'all dinner. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to take care of the house, the children. Me and the rest of the sisters, we got it. Y'all just focus. We're going to bring y'all dinner and everything, and we're going to make sure y'all have a good time. We're going to make sure don't nobody bother y'all. Anybody come knock on the door, like, take care of our sister.
Okay,
That's how it's supposed to be.
now I have a question on that, because everybody gets this twisted, and I like that you say sister, because necessarily these sisters do not have to interact with each other sexually, correct? It
Correct.
doesn't have to be sexual between the women.
Correct. It does not have to be
thank
sexual.
you. Okay,
That is
I
a
needed
relationship.
that
That is a
understanding.
That is a
Usually
relationship
it's not that way.
preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to say it's not that way. That is a relationship preference. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, because even within the relationship preferences, as I said earlier, no, it's not all about the sex. Like, you can have a woman that is in your family because she likes rearing children and things, that she likes being the homemaker, and you could possibly never have sex with this woman. But she is the portion of a wife that is great, taking care of a home, making a home, and rearing children. And that's what she wants to be in the family. And the other sisters are okay with her being that, and you're okay with her being that, and you could possibly never have sex with her. Like outside of the sex that comes, the consummation sex, you could possibly never have sex with her. Like just the physical pleasure of sex, or the I'm doting on you sex, like you could possibly never have that, because it's not about the sexual relationship. Sometimes in poly relationships, you might get a woman that is older, you know what I'm saying, that is way older, and she's, you know what I'm saying, she's not in her sexual nature or her sexual appetite. Like I say, she just might be a great woman for the family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even have to always have anything. So actually, when it comes to poly, the first thing that draws you to a person should not be physical attraction.
Mm-hmm.
It should be about what can you add to the family. So I can have a great romantic love for you without having any sensual physical attraction to you in that sense. You know what I'm saying? I can love you for the great woman that you are, instead of because you're a woman and I'm a man, and love you in that way.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that clear to the audience, because it's not a gay thing, or it doesn't have to be.
It usually is not in that sense, because it is about house sharing. And most of the time in that type of relationship, not everyone is in the same room. There is privacy and respect. So again, the other thing that we didn't talk about so much, and we're approaching 2 hours, and I'm gonna have to go.
This might be the longest one.
But
we usually go
the other thing
130,
is that when a man has a lot of wives, and when I'm saying a lot, I'm saying more than 4 wives, because usually it's 4, and even those cultures that are polyamorous or polygamy is the tradition. Most of the time, they're not having more than 4 wives. Most of the time, most the cultures, they're having 2 and maybe 3, right? So, but what we didn't touch upon is that when you have a brother who has multiple wives and multiple children, oftentimes we don't think about the children, because the father can't be the father to 30, 40, 50 children. Cannot be. So that also has to be taken into consideration. So I didn't want to leave the conversation without us thinking about that. Oh yeah, I got 7 wives, and they got 10 children, and they got 6 children, and this one has 12 children. You also have to think about, how are you being a father to all those children in the definition of what we know father to be.
Right.
Indeed.
Right. So I am imposing my definition of what I believe a father is. And I think many of you agree with that. And it's hard to be a father when you have 30 children. And I know brothers who have 14, 15, 20 children. And they cannot be the father to those 20 children.
I'm doing my interview right now. I'm doing this podcast.
So my brother didn't put his mute on.
Right, I was about to mute him. Okay, so I wouldn't be me if I didn't say this. So, okay, because sometimes it can't be all about sex, because sometimes that thing might not work. The girls,
so that's why they have multiple children, multiple wives, right? Because when a woman is
functioning, but no, I'm talking about him. He might not be functioning.
That $2 holler come up every week.
He might not be functioning to sexually handle 4.
Yeah, he has to be. Yeah, he has to take some supplements. He better be on that CMOS. He better be on that macro root. He better.
Right. Even what the sister said, you have to take those. You have to take those supplements. So that also brings us back to culture and things of that nature. So, like for instance, West Indians, or as people call them, Red Dot Indians. Like one of the greatest things in my life that I eat to this day is fennel. See, and one of the reasons that they feed their men fennel over there,
What is
it is
that?
very fennel, FENNEL. It is a seed. Fennel, and what fennel actually does for the male, it is great for the prostate. It can help. That's why you don't hear about that many of them having prostate cancer and things of that nature. But fennel also gives you girth, length, stamina. Fennel fuels
Ends.
your prostate.
Fellas, did I spell that right?
No, 2 N's, 1 L.
Two N's, one L.
Yeah, fennel. Hey, have y'all ever been to the Indian
Indians
restaurant?
too. They'll have the fennel right in the dish.
If you go to the Indian restaurant and you ever look and be like, man, what is this stuff in here with these little jelly beans? So they put it with those little jelly beans so it makes it easier to chew and consume. But that's fennel.
Mm.
Yeah,
Look,
it
you
is
done
very
took a trip
sweet. It's
on
a
that
nice
one, like,
herb.
that right. Don't be drugging nobody, Mika.
No, I'm just giving them some tips.
Right, you know what I'm saying? But that and they do that the West Indians are, you know what I'm saying, they practice a lot of poly relationships, you know what I'm saying? Like and that's a part of their culture. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons it's a part of their culture to help their men literally keep healthy prostates so that they can keep producing for their bloodline and their family.
What about is this healthy or unhealthy? There's something called bitter cola. Is that something?
Oh,
It's, I think
a
it's
lot of the
African.
Nigerians will chew on.
Right,
Yeah, a lot of the
Nigerian.
Nigerians will chew on. I don't know the property if it's for vigor,
If it's
but it is.
healthy or unhealthy.
Oh well, it's a nut. It's a natural nut. It just depends. Anything that you abuse will become unhealthy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
She said it's
So,
so bigger. They're like that $2 holly gotta go.
Hey, look, hey,
So
hey, look,
I'm going
that
to
natural things and what you like you want your man to consume. You would want him to consume things like goji berries. Like I say, the fennel seeds. Um, it might sound like making a joke, but I'm not. You literally want him to consume things that are in the nut family. Like these type of things. These are like actually natural things. That'll help him be better at
Healthy
that'll
as
help him be better, or even in the simplest form. You can look up foods that'll help vascularity, because
Okay.
vascularity is for your veins. It's a big vein.
blood circulation because it's a muscle.
Ideally, it's a big vein.
Right.
It's a muscle and for
It's a muscle.
circulation. And for circulation. With that being said, I'm hoping that I did contribute to your subject matter.
You
And I want to
helped.
thank Sister Joyce and
Hugely.
Sister Mika for
Thank
the
you.
invitation. It was a pleasure speaking with you, XO22. Thank you
Yes,
so much for
sister.
continuing to spread the light. And with this, I want to thank your audience. And if you, here goes my plug. Can I have my shameless
Okay,
plug
so
time
plug.
here? Ask the Heart Lady. I will be doing relationship Q&As once a month. Listen out, Joyce will go ahead and advertise that for me. So I'm on, also on Facebook, Ask the Heart Lady. And I'm having a book coming out this fall called Unbreak the Broken Heart. And it's 7 ways to heal after the relationship is over. So look out for that. I know my two hosts are going to help support me in advertising that.
You can come back if you want to when it drops.
Thank you so much. All right now. Okay, sisters. All right.
Thank you so much. You brought so much knowledge.
All right, my sister.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Right.
Okay, XO, you got a plug?
I'll give y'all the information. I don't know if a lot of people know who Eric Thomas is, or ET the hip
I
hop
do.
preacher, as they call him. I
I
am
listen to him a
certified
lot.
as an extreme execution life coach and a speaker by Eric Thomas, and I have the authority to run the extreme execution program. So even within the things that she's speaking about or that we're speaking about, whether it's in your regular life or your relationship, I administer the disc assessment and things of that nature. Joyce has had a disc assessment from me. I'm quite sure that she enjoyed it. We had fun with it. You know what I'm saying? We built on it a lot. But I have I have life skills and services for any and everybody that want them. I do mental health first aid. I'm a suicide awareness gatekeeper. I'm what's called a racial justice and accessibility fellow. This is what I do. I love to do it. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the extreme execution program, I will make sure that I give you all the information. And
Please
like I
do.
say, it is prepared by Dr. Eric Thomas himself, and I do have the authority to use it. I
I
have the
love him.
certification behind it for anybody that is wondering, wants to know, or anything of that nature. But I am getting ready to start putting it out and using the service so that I can make sure I help people become better people.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on here. You brought so much knowledge. I learned a lot. You definitely brought value, so we definitely appreciate you, and we would love to have you back.
Thank you. I appreciate you all. Whenever y'all just gotta let me know. You know what I'm saying? I'll make time for it. I make time for what's important. And women helping people be great, that's like the best thing to make time for.
So definitely give Joyce all that info so we can pub it.
All right, I will. I most definitely will. I'll not be at y'all will, you know what I'm saying? I gotta get up and go chase my bread in the morning. I'll be all over America chasing bread.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank
you. Have a good
you.
night.
All right, y'all too.
That was dope.
Sheesh.
That was that
Okay.
was that was dope. That
There
was
was
super
not
dope.
one part of that I considered when I thought we were coming into this conversation. There was not a single piece of that I was anticipating in coming into this conversation. So
No, yeah, it went totally different than I thought it would. It was very educational. Like I said, I was coming to learn though, and it went deep. Like, and I know it's way more to it. It can go much more deeper. That was like super broad.
yeah.
On a whole lot of different subjects,
I
and
think
it all still comes to one. Yeah.
I think if that's what Poly was presented as, I would sign up on the first day. And I would,
Really,
if it was presented to me
as
in that way,
generational wealth,
as generational wealth, as a
continuing to
combined
live.
unit, as a real village, as like that, if it was that was the presentation, I
But
wouldn't hesitate to sign up for that.
But that's not how these guys.
Nah.
That ain't what they want. That's not
No.
what they thinking. That's why I said they nut brains. Like seriously, like they think of it in the sexual aspect and horniness, and it's bigger than that. It's deeper than that.
Absolutely.
And most of them have no knowledge of that.
Yeah.
They just spitting out something, and that's where it becomes what you said, a trend.
Yeah.
So
Heavy is the head. Heavy is the head.
Heavy is the head that holds the crown. So that was wonderful. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I really got a deeper view of it. Was more than I expected it to be. So hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you again to both our guests for coming through. We will be sending out information on what they got going on in the future. Thank you guys for tuning in to Mika and Friends. Conversations with Mika and Friends. Let me do it correctly. Conversations with Mika and Friends, where we keep it real, raw, and respectful. And Joyce, please take us out with your thought of the day.
Before I get there, shameless plug. Get in tune with this hustle goddess. I mean,
yeah, I got it on too. I got hustle goddess too.
Subscribe on YouTube, yeah, but also, you know what I mean, log in,
yes.
drop the addy at the bottom so everybody can get in tune. I think there were so many moments where they talked about something that we hear all the time, and then like essentially taught that, like, yes, we keep saying that, but we're not using it the right way. So one of the terms that came to mind was birds of a feather flock together, right? So I would say debunk that. Surround yourself with people that are who you wish to become. Ooh.